I know I'm standing between everyone and going back to your room or getting some rest, but I promise you this is a very interesting story as well to listen to if you're not familiar with Longeveron. My name is Wael Hashad. I'm the CEO for Longeveron. I've been with the company for about 14 months. And I am a pharmacist by training with MBA, and I am an industry veteran. I spent all my career in the industry, pharmaceutical, large companies at the beginning, like Lilly, Amgen, Boehringer Ingelheim, and then smaller companies later in my career. Longeveron, this is the forward-looking statement with all the disclaimer here. We are a company that makes medicinal signaling cells, or MSCs, also stem cells. We have conducted 3 successful programs so far. These programs are in the area of Alzheimer dementia, aging-related frailty, and rare congenital heart disease condition. It's called hypoplastic left heart syndrome, also known from an abbreviation standpoint as HLHS. We recently announced our results from our phase 2A study from the Alzheimer disease at the end of 2023. And we also presented the follow-up data from our phase 1 study for HLHS at the American Heart Association meeting in Philadelphia of last year. We showed the follow-up for 5 years of these patients. We have our own GMP facility on site, which is a very unique thing for us. We have 8 clean rooms. We have this facility is a GMP facility, and we are able to produce enough supply for commercial use in the same facility for conditions like HLHS. Of course, for other conditions, because of the nature of the population, we will need to scale up in the future. But for the time being, at least we have good enough to produce clinical development material and potentially commercial supply for HLHS. We have a good balance sheet. We just finished raising capital a couple of weeks ago, and we have no debt in our balance sheet, and we have a significant insider ownership of the company. We also have a proven management, scientific, and manufacturing team that I will highlight at the end of the presentation. So how does the cells that we harvest work? It works through 4 mechanistic ways. The first one is the anti-inflammatory effect of these cells. The second one is a cell-to-cell interaction. It's basically signaling to cells and promoting the other activities of other cells in the body. We also help release exosomes and microRNA. And then we also promote mitochondrial transfer between one cell and another. As I mentioned, we are in the clinic in phase 2 on all of our program. Our aging-related frailty, we have finished phase 2B. Our Alzheimer, we finished phase 1 and phase 2A. And for the hypoplastic left heart syndrome, we finished phase 1, and we are currently recruiting for our phase 2B. This all represents a great opportunity from a commercial standpoint. Hypoplastic left heart syndrome, there are about 1,000 babies born every year with this condition in the United States. There is about 10,000 of them worldwide. This opportunity can be north of $1 billion worldwide. In the U.S., can be north of $600 million. As many of you know, the average price for rare disease products in the last 5 years, the product that got approved, is north of $1 million per patient. Some of them, even as recent as the last year, were north of $3 and $4 million per patient. So you can do the math with the population, and you know that this is a very conservative estimate for a very good market opportunity. For Alzheimer, there is about 5.8 million patients in the U.S. that suffer from Alzheimer's disease and aging-related frailty. There is about 8.1 million population in the U.S. The opportunity just in the U.S. is about 5 to 10 billion for Alzheimer and about 4 to 8 billion for aging-related frailty. So very good marketing opportunity. I also want to say that for the hypoplastic left heart syndrome and the aging-related frailty, none of these conditions have any approved products in the U.S. market as of today. So first condition, the hypoplastic left heart syndrome. So what is this condition? Basically, you can see here, these kids are born without fully developed left ventricle. That's compared to the normal ventricle here for this one. As a result, this condition, many of these kids cannot even survive, and many of them have ended up dying, except for a surgery that was, or three-part surgeries that was invented more than 20 years ago. These surgeries are known as the Norwood procedures, Glenn procedures, and Fontan procedures. And the first one takes place in the first 10 days of life. Second one is about 4 months after birth, and the third one within 3 to 4 years after birth. These surgeries have improved the outcome for these kids from a survival benefit and allow them to survive. 50 to 60% of them have been able to survive until adolescence, and many 80% survive for 5 years without the need of transplant or just pure survival. Yet still not 100% survival, so there's still an opportunity to improve on that outcome. Hence come our product and how we use it. We believe this product can enhance the functionality of the heart. One thing here I wanted to show you, so I can show you how the product works as well. You can see here that the normal left ventricle wall thickness is much thicker than the right ventricle. These surgeries, basically what it does, it allows the right ventricle for these patients to perform the left ventricle function. The reason that death happen or the transplant happen is when the right ventricle fails to perform its function because of the thin wall thickness and not able to withstand all the amount of effort that it needs to produce. We tested our products. We actually injected in the second stage surgery directly into the tissue of the heart during the surgery itself. We inject our products, as you can see here, in 8 different spots on the right ventricle. The goal here is to improve the functionality of the right ventricle and allow it to perform and allow these children to have a chance for a better life and a better outcome. How do we measure the success? We measure it in 2 ways. We measure the right ventricular ejection fraction, which is the amount of blood being pumped from the ventricle. And we also look at survival benefits. This is the data that we presented at the American Heart Association last November. I just wanted to highlight here one important thing. These are the 10 children or babies that we tried the product in our phase 1. The blue line is all the patients who have received our product, Lomecel-B. This is the largest controlled trial that have ever been done in the area of HLHS, with over 200 patients in this trial. This trial was done by the NIH, and it's called the Single Ventricle Reconstruction Trial, or also known as the SVR trial. You will notice that in this trial, from the second stage surgery, about 1 year after the surgery, 10% of the babies or the kids die, and about 20% of them die after 5 years. In our phase 1 trial, none of the children have died or needed a transplant. All of them are alive. We continue to monitor them, The last patient of them will finish its 5 years in August of this year. And the last that we have monitored was at the end of March. All of them are still alive. That is very encouraging news. Of course, we're very encouraged with this. That's why we proceeded with the phase 2. But most importantly as well, the FDA saw that data and they felt that this is really good enough. So they decided to grant us 3 designations that are the orphan drug disease designation, which you would expect because of the rare disease nature. We also have a rare pediatric disease designation, which comes with a priority review voucher. And we also have a fast track designation for that indication. So we have 3 designations for the HLHS. We're currently performing the phase 2, and we have decided that we're going to go on the phase 2 as a pivotal trial and designing this as a head-to-head versus the standard of care. This trial will have 38 patients. This trial is supported also by the NIH and the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute within the NIH. This trial has 19 patients that will get the surgeries alone, and the other 19 patients will receive the surgeries and our cells injected in the heart. We'll follow these patients for 1 year, and we will measure the right ventricular ejection fraction and overall survival for these patients. The trial has enrolled over 60% already, and we expect to finish the enrollment of this trial. We're already planning to have a meeting this year with the FDA to confirm that this will be enough. We believe that this trial is powered and enough for a rare disease to obtain an indication. So the goal is to get the confirmation from the FDA later this year that after the conclusion of this trial and upon successful readout, that we'll be able to file our BLA and launch for that indication, similar to many drugs, either using the full approval path or the accelerated approval path. Last thing that I want to highlight here, which is a very important point as well, it also indicates how much support from the top academic. Our trial is done, as you can see here, in all the top academic institutions in the country and maybe in the world. So we are doing this trial at Harvard, we're doing it at Northwestern, we're doing it at Columbia, we're doing it at University of Colorado, University of Utah, Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, University of Texas, Children's Hospital of Atlanta. So we are doing the trial for all the top academic institutions, and we have a very good relationship with all the top thought leaders. From a commercial standpoint, this is a great opportunity as well, because the number of treating physicians for this condition is less than 50 around the country. So you can imagine that launching a product like this would not be a significant undertaking. I mean, you can launch this with a commercial organization of less than 12 people. This will be a very high return, low investment type of from commercial. And as I mentioned, we already have a relationship with the majority of these thought leaders. Many of them are participating already in our trial. This program is our top priority, and the reason for that is because the fastest way that we can get return on investment for our, and also we are subsidizing the cost of the development by the NIH as well, because they are definitely supporting the development of the program. The second one that I wanted to highlight is the Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease, everybody know about it, so I'm not going to go and cover the disease itself for the sake of time. We believe the mechanism by which we help the patient with Alzheimer's is different than many other mechanism of actions that are being developed by other monoclonal antibodies and other companies. Our belief that our cells process the blood-brain barrier and help reduce the inflammation, which is a big part of the problem for Alzheimer's patients. It improves the immune function, promote neurogenesis, and also improve the endothelial function, which is the provascular and the blood supply to the brain. We have done phase 1 and phase 2 trial. I'm going to focus on the phase 2A trial, the one that we announced. We did this trial as a head-to-head. We had 3 different drug groups with 3 different dosing. A single dose of Lomecel, 25 million cells, multiple doses of 25 million cells, and multiple doses of 100 million cells. And you can see here we injected them at the beginning of the study and every 4 weeks, and then we followed the patient for 39 weeks. The primary endpoints for this trial was safety, as you can imagine for phase 2A, which is very common. Our secondary endpoints was something called CADS, Composite Alzheimer Disease Score. It's the same one that Biogen, SI, Lilly, all the major companies have used. And we also looked and we wanted to implement some objective measurement, which is in the form of MRI, because as you take, pictures of the brain and you take measurements of the brain by using MRI, it's a very solid measurement of the outcome of what we have. The results was announced at the fourth quarter of last year. Lomecel-B demonstrated positive benefit-risk ratio. There was no Alzheimer related imaging abnormality, also known as ARIA. This is a very common problem for a lot of the monoclonal antibodies. There was no hypersensitivity. There was no infusion-related reactions. There was no interruptions of infusion. And for a study that had 49 patients with average age group of 78, there was no single death over the 1 year for any of the patients. So all of them were alive. The pre-specified secondary endpoints, composite Alzheimer disease score, met its endpoints and showed a superiority compared to placebo. We also showed specific components of the CADS, mostly around the 2 areas, the hippocampal volume, which is attributable to memory, as well as the activity of daily living score. Both of them showed a significant improvement with p-value of less than 0.05. Considering the size of the trial is a very small trial, that was very positive data. We are also presenting the data in this coming July at the Alzheimer Association International Conference. The data has been accepted as a featured research and oral presentation. So we are chairing the session at the Alzheimer Association International Conference in Philadelphia at the end of July. So be on the watch out for this. And again, this speaks into the quality of the data that we are presenting. The data suggests that Lomecel-B may prevent disease worsening and possibly improve cognitive function. Actually, we had 2 cognitive scales that we showed improvement from baseline. Those are the Montreal Cognitive Assessment and the MMSE or the Mini Mental State Exam. We also improved the quality of life based on the ADR-QL, and Lomecel-B was also associated with a reduction of the loss of brain volume. So we had a significant reduction or slowing the reduction of both the total brain volume, the left hippocampal volume, and also all the inflammatory biomarkers of the brain, all of those measured by MRI. Finally, we believe that the ClearMind, which is the name of the trial, provides a clear foundation for further development. We have a lot of the thought leaders that we're working with to develop the next steps for moving this program forward. The last program that I want to talk about is the aging frailty. As many of you know, populations are getting more older. Many patients suffer from the condition of frailty. We have done our phase 2B, over 150 patients in this trial, and we tested 2 doses. We tested several doses, 25, 50, 100, and 200 million cells. The top line results showed that we used something called 6-minute walk test. We showed a significant improvement in the 6-minute walk test after 9 months of using the drug. And there was also a dose response to Lomecel-B as measured by the 6-minute walk test, even at 6 months. We are currently prioritizing the Alzheimer's disease and the HLHS, I think for the reason that I mentioned before. We have a very well experienced team that Myself, as I said, I come from the industry, 35 years. The founder of the company is Dr. Joshua Hare. He's a trained cardiologist at Mass General. He spent 16 years doing his research and trying to help patients with stem cells at Johns Hopkins, and then he moved to University of Miami as the chair of the regenerative medicine division at the University of Miami. Lisa Locklear is our CFO. She has a lot of background, multi-industry. She spent the majority of her career at the Walt Disney Company and before that at PwC. And then she also was the CFO for Avenir Pharmaceutical, where she and we overlap. Natalia Aksanova is our Chief Medical Officer. She brings extensive industry experience as well. She worked at both Amgen, Bristol Myers, Celgene, several of all the major Biogen. So she has a lot of expertise, especially in the area of neuroscience. And then Paul Lair is our general counsel, brings over 25 years of general counsel experience. As I said, we are mid-stage. One thing that I wanted to tell people, usually if you are in the biotech at the end of the day fails because of one of two things. Either the drug has not been able to demonstrate benefit, or the risk is very high for the product, or there is a significant side effects or adverse events. And that's why the whole foundation is based on benefit-risk ratio. I can tell you at least one area that I feel very confident about, which is the safety of our product. We have had now over 500 patients that have used our products. And these are the most vulnerable patients of any population. It's the aging population in the 70s and 80s, and also the very early babies that are taking this product. And we have not had any one single case of death attributable to the product or any serious adverse events. So the safety profile for over 500 patients in our database is very well documented. All we have to do is we continue to get this data tested in a larger population and get this drug to the BLA stage. As I said, we have maintained fairly clean balance sheet and we have significant insider ownership. We have our own GMP facilities with 8 clean rooms, and we have, as I mentioned, proven management, scientific, and manufacturing team. We are not a big company, trying to keep it lean and manage our cash very wisely, and really try to use external contractor part-time resources as much as we can to get to the finish line, and we've been able to do that successfully so far. And with that, this is our contact if you want to reach us, and if you want to learn more about the company, feel free. And I'm happy to take any questions. Yes. So now we have cash take us toward the end of this year, maybe early next year. We are pursuing, we definitely know that we're going to have to raise more capital to get to the finish line. We're pursuing multiple avenues, both regular methods of raising capital with investment banks and so on. We're also looking for non-dilutive fundings as well. And we're pursuing multiple avenues on this one. One avenue is the grant route. So as many of you know, there is a lot of both public and private funding opportunities, especially for the area of Alzheimer's disease. So we are pursuing a lot of that. We believe that at the presentation of the Alzheimer, because the presentation is embargoed for the time being, but we believe at the presentation of the Alzheimer Association International Conference, that will give a very good exposure to the quality of the data and the work that we have done. So that will encourage a lot of people. But we're not waiting for this. I'm also actively pursuing other partnership. As I mentioned, our manufacturing facility can definitely cover the HLHS. For Alzheimer, we know that this is going to require a significant investment to get it to the finish line. Even commercialization, you will not expect a company of 20 people to be able. So partnership is the best way to do this, and we're vigorously pursuing that as well. So multiple things are in the work to try to fund the company. But we're always interested in investors who are buying the scientific story and want to see this to the finish line, and because we really believe that this is a great investment opportunity, and I think the return on this investment is even with a probability of technical and regulatory success, still a very, very lucrative investment opportunity. Other questions? Well, this means that I was crystal clear, I guess. So thanks, everyone. I really appreciate it at the end of the day. Thank you.